welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living here in San Clemente. Our theme for the month of September is work, so we thought we'd do work songs. And we'd like you to join us on our first sing-along song today, so please stand up and join the wonderful Alan Dale with a Daniel Nemeth song called God You Are.
Ocean, God you are, every canyon, every inch of earth and sky. God you are, every morning, God you are, every midnight, God you are, every moment, every second of my life. Everything I see, everything I do, everything I have is you. Everything below, everything I know is you. God you are, every sunrise, God you are, every moon glow, God you are, every star shine, every inch of earth and sky. God you are, every springtime, God you are, every snowfall, God you are, every season, every second of my life. Everything I see, everything I do, everything I have is you. Everything above, everything below, everything I know is you. Everything I see, everything I do, everything I have is you. Everything above, everything below, everything I know is you.
Yeah. Welcome, 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 welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living, Capistrano Valley. You're in the valley. That's what our meditation was about, in the valley. So welcome. We're a spiritual community that honors all beliefs, all religious practices. So if you do not have an air conditioner, you are welcome here. Because I don't have an air conditioner. And it's really, really hot. If you want better health, more prosperity, more abundance, you are welcome here. If you're from the LGBT community, you are welcome here. If you said something you didn't mean to say, you're welcome here. So, let's get our clam bake going, and we are going to start it off by reading the Flames of Faith. We perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples, all faiths, all sentient beings come from one great universal presence, which we call Spirit. Fundamental to this truth is the unifying nature of religious thought and experience, which we will honor here today. We light the candle for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light the candle for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. We light the candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light the candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light the candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. We light the candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light the candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of compliance with the will of God as the highest calling. We light the candle for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We light the candle for all forms of New Thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. And as practitioner, Jody Charton lights that last candle. Let it represent the path that brought you here this morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Won't you join me for a couple of ohms to start off? The Infinite One is omniscient, omnipresent, and omnipotent. That means that God knows all. God is present everywhere. God is all-powerful. And God is expressing through each one, just as through me. And I am one with this power and presence, one with this divine spirit, just as I know each one here is one with divine activity, with divine mind. Knowing that each one here is in that higher vibration, taking a deep breath and feeling the presence with awake awareness. Knowing that each one here experiences the divine with all their senses. Each one is open and receptive to receiving all the divine wisdom that is here for them in this moment, in this service. And I realized today that Reverend Alice shines her light and her wisdom pours forth as spirit and touches each one who is ready to receive whatever that golden nugget is of truth for them that will help transform them today, this moment, this week. And so knowing this, knowing that God is love, that God pours forth this wisdom and this truth through intuition, knowing that Spirit is that healing power, is good in action in and through each one of us. I am so happy and grateful for this knowingness. So happy and grateful for this presence, for this unity and wholeness that each one experiences, for this resonance that we feel with each other and this light that pours forth through Reverend Alice and through each of the musicians and each one who speaks today. And just knowing that each one is that open channel receiving all of God's abundance and blessings today and each day this week. So with a full heart, an overflowing heart, filled with joy and love, I release these words into the law, knowing it is done, it is so, and so it is. So we're going to do something slightly different today. We're going to start next with the global vision. And the global vision, as you know, is our big idea, our big vision for the world that works for everyone. And we have copies of this entire global vision at the entrance when you come in. But for September, we're going to focus on just a few of these big ideas. And so I hope you will join me in reading mindfully together this shortened version, this more powerful version of a world that works for everyone and the global vision. Okay. Please join me. Where humanity rediscovers personal creative power, where we live as one global family, where communities are meaningfully involved in service to the world, and where there is peace, harmony, and justice for all. Thank you. And now, please join me in reading today's affirmation. If it comes up on the screen, thank you. The doing of good work in the world is a wonder to behold, and so it is.
All right. Speaking of wonders in the world, my pleasure to invite Alan Dale to come up here and do the first song as our guest musician.
Well, sometimes when we're doing our work and living our lives, we forget about the bigger picture. And so we're going to do a song about that called My Own Little World. In my own little world, it hardly ever rains. I've never gone hungry, I've always felt safe. I've got some money in my pocket, shoes on my feet. In my own little world, population me. I try to stay awake during Sunday morning church. I throw a 20 in the plate, but I never give till it hurts. And I turn off the news when I don't like what I see. Yeah, it's easy to do when it's population me. What if there's a bigger picture? What if I'm missing out? What if there's a greater purpose that I could be living right now? Outside my own little world. I stopped at a red light, looked out on my window. I saw a cardboard sign that said, "Help this homeless widow." And just above that sign was the face of a human. I thought to myself, God, what have I been doing? So I rolled down the window and I looked her in the eye. Oh, how many times have I just passed her by? I gave her some money and I drove on through. In my own little world, there's population too. Whoa. What if there's a bigger picture? What if I'm missing out? What if there's a greater purpose I could be living right now? gonna break my heart for what breaks yours. Give me open hands and open doors. Put your light in my eyes and let me see that my own little world is not about me. What if there's a bigger picture? What if I'm missing out? What if there's a greater purpose that I could be living right now? I don't wanna miss what matters. I wanna be reaching out. Show me the greater purpose so I can start living right now. Outside my own little world. Ooh, my own little world. Yeah, yeah, my own little world. Ooh.
Oh, that was wonderful. Paul, you have me? Great. Good morning. We have a wonderful new sound guy. Thank you, Paul, for joining us this morning. And thank you, Alan Dale, for that wonderful song to get us started. Thank you. I'm happy to be with you here on Labor Day. It's, boy, is it, I know Arp had already said it, but it's hot. And it's so nice to be here in the air conditioning and to be enjoying your company. And it is Labor Day, and usually it's hot, right? Usually it's warm. And this is the time for us to come together and be in spiritual community. I want to share with you that this month's daily guides are written by a very talented young man by the name of Jeffon Seeley. He's kind of a new voice to our movement, and he's done the daily guides before, and I really encourage you to check this out. You can get the Science of Mind magazine in our bookstore. You can subscribe to it. You can get it on your device. But it's a great way to start each day to really ground ourselves in principle, in this philosophy that we are living by. So happy Labor Day weekend. I have a couple of things I want to share about Labor Day. It's not the national holiday that was created so we could have hot dogs and hamburgers in the backyard. That's not the purpose of Labor Day. It was first started by a number of labor activists in New York City who really wanted us to recognize the hard work of the labor force. That was around 1882. And it wasn't until 1894 that the then president, Grover Cleveland, made it a national holiday. And he made it a national holiday because other states followed in the footprints of New York City and followed in this idea of the importance of recognizing our labor force. And if you can imagine what the world was like in the late 1800s, right? We were moving from a mostly agricultural society into the Industrial Revolution. And honestly, I don't think people were thinking about working conditions, you know, the needs of people. They were just trying to figure stuff out, and we were trying to mechanize the way that we created goods in this country. And so our workforce was not necessarily treated humanely, I'll put it that way. And so this movement by activists was important because it was important to recognize the people behind the manufacturing of goods, behind, you know, people in the factories, people who were doing things that used to be done by hand. That typically, you know, you couldn't go on to some like mega store and pick up one of 1,000 things that were on a shelf. You had to wait until the seamstress made the dress for you. And so this whole idea of Labor Day is to really recognize our workforce. And what I want to, you know, if we fast forward into today, many of the people who are doing some of the most menial and hardest labor are working this weekend to support those who go on vacations and go into the backyards to enjoy hot dogs and hamburgers, unless you work for Costco. Costco closes on these holidays. And there are other Costco didn't pay me to do that, just so you know. But there are other organizations that really recognize their workers and recognize their labor and the good that they provide. So if you're out in a restaurant, if you're out at a store, spend some time really acknowledging the person that's serving you. See them for who they are. Thank them for working on a holiday. Because Labor Day is really about them. And it's really about you. If you are still involved in the workforce, I know a lot of us are retired. The thing to know about the workforce then and now is that they really raised the standard of living for many people. They really brought us the ability to have leisure time, to be able to get goods and services at a grander scale, and created a different relationship for us around work, didn't they? I mean, if, you know, I've seen the movies and I've heard the tales. I think the person who I learned the most about work from wasn't my father, it was actually my stepfather. When I was a teenager, my parents divorced. I like to say they then met their soulmates and both married the loves of their life. And the man that married my mother, his name was Ralph. And what I can tell you about Ralph is that he became more than just my stepfather. My sister and I actually refer to him as a verb because he is the example that we were given of a man who really loves his family, who really supports his family, and who really knows how to care for their partner. And Ralph was born in, I think it was 1918, somewhere around there. So he lived, and he was born in the rural New England area. And so he was working hard when the Depression hit. His family had to, they really suffered, right? Because they were still in the rural communities, and we had moved into this kind of industrialized way of being. And so there was a real interruption in the goods and services that were coming through, and people had to work harder. And Ralph is the person that I really learned from and went to when I was trying to get my work ethic, when I was trying to learn about what it meant to have a career. And I would go to him for questions from time to time. And this dear, deeply loving man would ask me why it was important for me to care about my job and enjoy my work. Because that wasn't working for the joy of it. I was working to support my family. Because that's the era he came from. And yet if you look at the time when I became of age and started moving into the workforce, I was educated about the workforce from the Collective Consciousness by Virginia Slims. Give it a minute, it'll set in. Do you remember the commercial of the sexy, sleek woman with her cigarette, and she's walking through the streets and she starts singing, "I can bring home the bacon, I can fry it up in a pan, and I can never ever let you forget you're a man." Doesn't that sound ridiculous now? But I was, that was the kind of programming, if you will, that I was getting from the culture at the time. And so I kind of bought that crap. I kind of thought that that's what I was supposed to do. And not only did it get deep into my subconscious, but I actually manifested it. by the time I got to working and establishing my career, I was the breadwinner in my home. I was raising my kids. I was a homemaker. And then I was trying to take care of my man. I was trying. I didn't do a really good job. It was a lot to do. And yet there was a lot of confusion for me about why I couldn't do it all, why I couldn't be everything to everybody. And so when we look at this idea of work this month, my hope and the thing that I think we're going to start to do is to look at our relationship with work and maybe look at some of the underpinnings that you might have to your work relationship. Maybe look at some of the false ideas that you've been carrying around that really haven't served you. Because I do believe that our relationship to work has evolved. It certainly has evolved. And I think about those points in our culture when we've had major changes and how shifts happen in the workforce. I think about a big shift that happened for me personally because I was, at age 16, I started working. And I started working because I was in a boatload of trouble with my family. And my father knew that if I would get my acting gear and start working, that would straighten me out. I took a couple of bookkeeping courses, and then from that wonderful, healthy idea of work, that I'm in trouble and I've got to do something to straighten things out, from that wonderful seed, I started a 38-year career in accounting. And so what I want to tell you is that I spent a lot of years in the wrong career making it right. I spent a lot of time doing accounting because of this one thing that happened when I was a teenager and not knowing where to go from there and then just trying to do the right thing, trying to bring home the bacon and fry it up in the pan. And all of that was from external ideas about my work, what my work needed to be. We teach something a little different here in Centers for Spiritual Living. We have a little bit of a different philosophy about how we approach things in the world. Our philosophy has to do with that we have agency in our lives to make choices. And that when we make those choices, that our lives can begin to unfold in a different direction. And so for me, what happened was I was in a job that, there's that saying about we don't live to work, we work to live. Well, I was definitely working to live. I was definitely in that trap that many of us can find ourselves in this industrialized economy we have. We have this culture that, we work, we spend, and then businesses hire so that people can work and spend, and then businesses hire so that we can work and spend, and then businesses hire. It's a bit of a circular pattern, and I was definitely in that pattern. I was working so that I could spend. I was working so that I could make ends meet. And I had, how should I put this? I had a boss that was hell on wheels. It was really tough, and it wasn't fun to go to work, and I wasn't enjoying myself. And I, at the same time, found myself in a Center for Spiritual Living. And I started listening to what was said on Sunday mornings, and then I started taking classes, and I began to believe that I had some choices that I could make. And a funny thing happened. I quit my job. I started my own business. I began to do work in a way that I found more joy in it. I ran the last 13 years of my accounting career, I had my own tax practice, and it was called Compassionate Tax Service. And I was compassionate. If those of you who know me, I'm sure you can picture it. I was very compassionate, and I really saw my role as deepening relationships, giving people a greater comfort around their finances and this scary thing called tax season and filing a tax return. And I remember it was like my ministry before my ministry. And I learned that I could step out of that mold that was created for me by my parents and by the collective, unconscious culture that we live in, that I could divest myself from some of those ideas, and I could begin to cultivate my own ideas about what I wanted work to be. I could begin to find joy in my work. And I could begin to come to a deeper relationship with spirit with my work. And it really happened for me until it didn't. It was working until it didn't. At some point, I was really done with being an accountant. I was really done with that career. I was studying to be a minister concurrently with having my business, and at some point it's no longer serving me. And I remember working with a mentor, and I was like, how am I going to get out of this job? I'm not finding any joy in it anymore. I really need to be doing something else. It was really clear that I was in the wrong career, making it right, and it was time to let go of that career. And she introduced me to this very powerful, I remember to this day where I was sitting when she read this quote to me from Emma Curtis Hopkins, and I'm going to share it with you right now, because it changed everything for me. Not necessarily overnight, but as I began to really understand the words these powerful words, things began to shift. And so Emma Curtis Hopkins writes, "It is not yours to demonstrate the cessation of work. It is yours to settle your faith. Keep at your tasks till your faith is so clear that the free spirit sifting through it takes your dishes out of your way and calls another to straighten your accounts while you are being used as a redeemer of death and pain." Whoa. Now, you may not want to be used as a redeemer of death and pain. I understand that. But if you understand the metaphor underneath that, she's really talking about being used by Spirit in a way that is authentic to you. She's talking about getting so clear in your choices and so clear in your intentions that they can't help but manifest. It was about 2 years after I started working with this quote. I put it on my phone. It's actually in a little frame on our altar here. If you notice, we have this wonderful altar that is dedicated to work, and this quote is in that frame as well. And I really saturated myself with this idea that I wasn't mine to try to strategize and manipulate my way into leaving my career, but to get really clear on what it is I wanted to create. And that's what we teach. We teach that in classes. This philosophy is a philosophy that will help you to engage your beautiful mind and your wonderful heart so that they work together to put you into alignment with your authenticity, and that you are walking out life from a place of clarity and joy. And so this month we're going to be looking at this idea of work, but not just, sounds pretty dull if we say we're just looking at work, doesn't it? I mean, maybe you want to be somewhere else if that's all we're going to talk about on a Sunday morning. But we're really going to be looking at finding the awe and the wonder in our creative self-expression. That's why we picked that one line from the Global Vision about where people are engaged in their personal creative expression, because that's what work is today. If we look at how work has evolved over the last 100 or so years, it really has become, we have been given the freedom to really step into a healthier relationship with personal creative expression. And if I can find joy in personal creative expression through doing tax returns, I know you can find it in your whatever you're doing. I absolutely know it, I have no doubt. And I would love to tell you that when I embraced that quote and when I allowed it to change me so that I was ready to step into my right relationship with work, that I had it down, I was done, all done, already all cooked. No. I'm still massaging and still working with my relationship with work. I'm still get caught in that trap of, working and goals and, accomplishments and producing. And I forget that what is really going to feed me and what is really going to feed the people that I work with is when I am grounded with my purpose, when I'm grounded with what brings me true joy, and I can begin to get into that alignment and trust that that alignment is truly Spirit co-creating with me. It isn't mine to lead this center all by myself as your spiritual director. It's mine to bring us together, to collaborate, to become a community, and to watch God express as each one of us. It's easy to forget that, but it's also easy to remember it and to bring it forward. And I can guarantee you, when I settle my faith, when I get back to this idea of what is it that lives within me, that what is my redeemer of death and pain that wants to be experienced as my life, when I get clearer about that, things get easier. It's not heavy lifting, folks. The heavy lifting is being clear. The heavy lifting is in settling your faith. The rest is God's job. The rest is a gift that is bestowed upon you because you have been so clear that the pure Spirit sifting through it cannot help but manifest in ways that are expected and unexpected. It's a beautiful practice and philosophy, and it works. So as we move through this month, allow yourself to really think about the things that are gestating in your subconscious. What are those seeds that brought you to work that aren't true anymore, that you don't have to bring home the bacon and fry it up in a pan? What is it that brings you joy and brings you so much joy that it bubbles up skills and talents so that not only can you find joy in the work that you do, but as you give what you have to give to others, that it lifts others up as well. That's how I would like to define work, not this, we get a job and work, and then we spend, and then we hire more people, and then we work, and then we spend, and then we hire more people. That's an old paradigm. We're creating a new paradigm. A paradigm where we don't get our worth from what we get, but we find our true wealth from what we give. And that's the relationship I want us to cultivate as individuals, as a community, as a culture. Because I know what is produced from that pure alignment is almost magical. So join me as we look at these wonderful ideas that'll help us uplift us and help bring that wonder back to the idea of work. Let's go ahead and pray, shall we? Okay. And so in this moment, I invite you to close your eyes or lower your gaze and to allow your mind and heart to simply settle. for you are a divine revelation of spirit and form. And so as we move through this week, as we move through this month, I trust that each one allows themselves to let go of old ideas that don't support who you are today. That we move into this place of knowing that there is a creative power and a creative force that is yearning, longing to express itself as you, as your work, as the things that you do. And so I trust that each one will search their heart and search their marvelous mind and find those places of pure truth and authenticity and begin to cultivate them in ways that lift each one and therefore lift the world. And it is with a grateful heart that I know this highest truth, that each one of us is by design divine. And that our heavy lifting is to simply get clear so that divinity can shine through like a prism when sunlight hits it. And so it is with joy that I simply let this go. I know that it is already true. And together we anchor this prayer in power and in love by saying together, and so it is. Thank you very much. And while you're on your feet, keep the applause happening because we're going to bring Alan Dale back up.
So this next song is truly about doing God's good work. And you all know it, or most of you do, so please feel free to sing along with us. Use me.
To shine
hear it for Alan Dale.
Oh God, I love that
And
song.
let's hear it for the band. Over here on the drums, we have Ed Page. Over there on the bass, we have Grant Clarkson. Over there on the guitar, we have Ed Cuspy. And our lovely Diane King Band. Woo-hoo! All right. Now it's time for our offering. Wait. Do you guys, come on, stewards. Do you guys know about these blessing cards? If you have a blessing card, what does it say? In deep gratitude for all my blessings, I place this card in the basket. I ask that these offerings are blessed, appreciated, and multiplied. It is my honor to give my blessing in this way. Thank you, God, universe, and spirit. So if today is your day to give, put something in the basket. And if it's not your day to give, put a card in the basket, because you will be blessed in so many magnificent ways by saying, thank you, God. I give, I receive, and I am. So, I'm going to put this card in here. More. All right, where's my offering? Please repeat after me. My offering is my acceptance of God as the source of my supply and symbolizes my faith in the abundant flow of this supply.
This is for you, Alice.
You can play the game and act out the part, even though it wasn't written for you. How can you stand there with your broken heart, ashamed of playing the fool? One thing can lead to another, it doesn't take any sacrifice. Whoa, father and mother, sister and brother, if it feels nice, don't think twice. Just shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Things are going to turn out right if you only will do what I say. Shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Things are going to be much better if you only will. Well, you can run, but you cannot hide. This is widely known. Say, what you got to do with your foolish pride when you're all by yourself alone? Or won't you tell somebody the way that you feel? You can feel it beginning to ease. I think it's true what they say about that squeaky wheel, always getting the grease. It's better to shower the people you love with love.
Shower in my love. Woo! All right. Hey, if you've been in service today, you want to stand in any way? Let us acknowledge you. You guys in the back, stand. Thank you for being the wonderful people that you are. Is there anyone here for the first time? Do we have any lovely? Ah! Well, keep your hands raised because we have a lovely gift for you. And thank you for raising your hands. Yes, all right, very nice. Then we have a very dynamic trio of miracle workers called our practitioners. Who is in service? Where is Faith Mackey? Where is Jody's counting the money? I bet you she's counting the money. And Paula Mannis in the back, stand up. If you want your life changed in 5 minutes, go see these wonderful ladies afterwards. And now for invitations.
Well, first we have birthdays. So if anybody has a birthday in September, please stand. We want to sing to you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to I have some invitations for you. You are invited to join Conscious Connection today right here in this sanctuary. After the service, grab a snack and join in the circle to discuss the ideas you heard in today's service, and everyone is welcome.
And this month of September, we are celebrating being of service to our greater community. So we invite you to bring in some non-perishable canned or packaged goods, and it's going to be donated to the Family Assistance Ministries here in San Clemente. So let's be good stewards of our circulation and pay it forward.
Classes are back. Reverend Alice will be facilitating the class Mental Equivalence on Monday evenings and Tuesday mornings. The Monday class is being offered on Zoom and will be held from 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. The Tuesday morning classes will be live right here in our multipurpose room from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Registration is available online through our website, your biweekly emails, or on the computer in the back of the sanctuary.
Yes. So our book study with Mary back there, wave, Mary. They are starting a new book this week. It's Thich Nhat Hanh's book, bestseller, Fear, Essential Wisdom for Getting Through the Storm. Sounds pretty ideal for these times. So this group meets via Zoom each Wednesday morning from 9:30 to 11, and please see Mary if you have any questions.
Shifting Sands is now meeting in person. Woohoo! While the hybrid is available, we encourage you to truly connect with your spiritual family by showing up in the flesh, but with clothes on. It will meet on Thursday mornings in our multi-purpose room from 10:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m.
Who likes to sing? Woo! Choir rehearsals resume this Tuesday evening from 7 to 9. So if you love to sing, can carry a tune, and are interested in singing with our Jewel Tones Choir, see our choir director, Diane King-Van.
And lastly, these beautiful flowers are for Reverend Alice as we celebrate her 1-year anniversary as our spiritual director. Happy anniversary, baby.
Yay, Reverend Alice.
Stay after the service for pastries and coffee and let Reverend Alice know how much she is
Yes.
loved and appreciated.
Yes, absolutely. Wow, has it been a year already? Yes, it's been a year already. All right, I think it's time to stand and sing our closing song.
One life living as you and me, one light shining as you and me, one love loving as you and me, 'cause God is all there is. One life living as you and me, one light shining as you and me, one love loving as you and me, 'cause God is all there is. I'm shining from the inside out, I'm so happy, I just want to shout. One life living as you and me,
and me. One light shining as you and me. One love loving as you and me. 'Cause God is all there is. 'Cause God is all there is. 'Cause God is all there is.
And so I know as we move through this week, we are the beautiful transparency of that light as we shine God everywhere we go, and so it is.